We've made over $500,000 on Faire, and you can too with these cold email marketing tips. In this video, I'll talk you through a few tweaks you can make to your cold email outreach strategy to make them more effective. Hi everyone, my name is Lucy and I run a Faire Growth Agency. And this channel is all about sharing the best advice that we've got for thriving on Faire's B2B marketplace. So if you're looking to grow on Faire, subscribe to the channel to get loads of free advice. Let's dive right into your cold email flows and a few things you can change to improve them. There are three main areas that we can look at: who you're sending the emails to, where, when and how you are sending those emails, and then the specific content of those emails. So let's start with who you're sending your emails to. These are your leads. There are a few different places that you might have got your leads from. In person, so possibly you met them at a trade show or you actually walked in and have discovered their shop in person. Online, so you might have gone out and sourced a retailer's website and decided, yep, I can see my product in this store, and you found their email via their website or their social media. Or possibly you might have paid for these leads from an email selling service. We genuinely see that buying emails is a really hard method to make work. A lot of the time, the lists are massive, so you're getting volume, but there's no quality behind the lists. Also, you really do not want to be putting these lists into Faire, because if you do email any dodgy emails by accident through Faire's marketing tools, you can actually get banned from the tool by Faire's third-party email sending service. But if you found these leads yourself, you've got those emails, it's a legitimate business, it's an open business, they're fair game. So let's look at a few reasons why these retailers might not be converting for you so far. The first thing is maybe your product isn't relevant to them. This is why you really need to make sure that you're actually qualifying these leads. So you're actually looking at this business and deciding, yes, I can absolutely see my product in their range. Make sure they are in the right geography for you and they are legitimate businesses that are still open, because unfortunately in this day and age there is quite a high turnover of businesses closing. Yet another reason to avoid buying lists of emails, because they're not necessarily the most up to date. This is why our lead generation service at the agency works so well, because we're going off current information about your product, your current customers, your future customers that you want as well. We are manually finding and qualifying those leads to make sure they are the most relevant leads for your business and your products. Another thing to be aware of is the kind of buying cycle for your retailers and the time of year. So we are a very seasonal business with our brand Bare Kind, because it's a sock business. So Christmas is naturally the busiest time of year for us, but we do sell throughout the year, especially to retailers, but it's just about the messaging we are using. The cadence of emails also changes, so at Christmas we really up that cadence because we know the buying intent is there. So just make sure you are hyper aware of what your retailer's buying needs are depending on the time of year. Possibly another thing to look at is if you are being specific enough with the targeting of your emails. So we've tested this over the last 4 years. Depending on the lead, we've tried different ways of targeting the email flows. So we'd section them out into gift shops or podiatrists and change the copy in the email and see how that goes. We've actually found that kind of broad copy does work, especially because we're putting so much volume of leads through our account now. We don't necessarily have the time to be super segmented, but it's always worth testing. So we have found something that works really well for us when we do segment is looking at zoo gift shops, because they're one that actually are really, really good for us. The socks we're selling are animal socks, so it's very, very hyper targeted to these gift shops, and the messaging we're using across these flows can change. So the content generally stays the same, but then we're talking about things like visitors and specific animals rather than talking about customers and gift shops. So just think about who you're targeting, who you're speaking to, who is the end retailer that's going to be opening this email. Another thing to be specific about is if you did get those leads from a trade show, for example, and you have actually had an in-person conversation with that retailer, do use that as an opportunity to be more specific with your targeting. So when we've been to Spring Fair, we've also done home and gift, we take a lot of notes when speaking to a retailer, because that allows us to target an email to that person. So we will actually send an email from our wholesale inbox rather than through Faire or through Klaviyo, because we've got loads of information about that specific retailer. So I would consider these very hot leads, and we don't want to waste them by kind of not emailing them and then just sending them a generic cold email in the future. You don't always get a reply. If you do, great, but if not, you might email them another few times and then kick them into your cold flows or your newsletters anyway. You're still going to be contacting that lead in the future and through all of your newsletters and the content that you are already doing. But if you've already spoken to them that week, it's a good thing to kind of keep the momentum going and message them directly, use their name, use their business. Okay, so now this leads us into the when, where and how of sending these emails. There's no point doing a massive sales acquisition flow during the second half of December, for example, that those emails are just going to fall on deaf ears. So you need to consider when retailers are buying. So we always say that Fair Summer Market, which is July, that's when we start heavy Christmas marketing, because actually it's one of our biggest sales few days of the year, and our retailers are actually buying for Christmas during that time as well. Same with other events through the year. So depending on your product, if you're going after Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, any other kind of seasonal event that you've got coming up, consider when you're emailing learning about those, because don't forget, retailers are about 2 months ahead. In terms of when for cold emails, generally when you introduce yourself, you can try starting with a cadence of every 5 to 7 days of sending a cold email. You can always adjust that depending on how it performs, bring it down to as little as 3 days and see if that does anything. It really is about testing and learning with the brand. Then kick them into your newsletter flow, which we really recommend doing through Faire, and we recommend once a week. That's a really good cadence to keep on top of. So there are 2 main ways really of doing cold emails. You can use a third-party provider or you can use Faire. Again, if you have bought emails and you are insistent on using them, do not put them in Faire because you can get banned from using the marketing tools if you do email an email that's not quite right. We always pre-qualify our leads before putting them into Faire, but we still regularly add emails into Faire for both our brand and all of our clients' brands as well, because this is showing the algorithm that you're regularly uploading leads, you're trying to find customers, and you're also showing the algorithm who those customers are. So when they go off to show you to other retailers on the marketplace, they're finding the right ones for your products. But bear in mind, Faire can be harder on deliverability. They have a lower tolerance. They do kind of have restrictions on how many emails are being sent out to particular retailers every week. So again, that's why you might consider using a third-party tool. We used to do it a lot, but actually now, because we pre-qualify our leads, we do all of our email marketing through Faire, and it works really well. Key thing here is to really keep going. Persistence is key. Don't give up. Many people will send an email, think they'll get something back, and then give up if they don't hear back. Don't forget, retailers can unsubscribe if they want to. Kind of the advertising industry generally says it takes about 7 times for someone to see or hear about your brand before they consider purchasing from you. So one cold email isn't enough. Consider that they're very busy retailers, so they might not even see your email. They might read it and then forget about it, and then so you just kind of have to keep top of mind. And then think about their buying cycle as well, is if you're emailing them in February, March, possibly they might look at it and think, great, but not for me right now. You want to keep on top of them, and then eventually they might think, actually, yeah, I'm just about to get all my stock in for Christmas, this is now right for me. So you do have to keep emailing. And so finally, let's talk about the content of these emails. Let's start on subject lines. So if you're not getting many opens for these emails, consider what you're saying in the subject line. Are they catchy enough to get someone's attention? Try sticking them in ChatGPT and asking how you could improve them. Think of it really as a testing phase with subject lines, that you don't really know what's going to work until you try it. So you've got to try all of these different things. If you do have emails that have higher open rates than others, that's amazing. Study those emails and work out why were those opened but not these ones. For the content itself, these are cold emails, so you don't want them to be too chunky or wordy. Keep it short and sweet and hyper relevant. These are not B2C emails, so they don't need to be highly designed and fluffy. You're speaking to business owners, so you can get straight to the point and level with them. I've got a few content ideas for you to try if you're stuck. So do introduce yourself as the founder, owner of the brand. Don't forget, people buy from people, particularly on Faire, where it's indie brands and indie retailers conversing with each other. Do be laser focused on your USPs as well. So why is your product so good for them? Think about what they need as a retailer and who their end customer is. What problem will your product solve for them? This is not about why your product is the best. It's about why your product is the best at solving a problem for that retailer and that customer. So always think from their point of view. Do include behind the scenes content as well. It can actually warm people up a lot quicker in these cold email flows because it builds trust. The same with social proof. So if you've got lots of reviews on your B2C site, if you've already got some good reviews on Faire, include those. So we talk about being the highest rated stock company in the UK on Trustpilot. So if you've got anything like that, you can include, or if you've got any media, any news that you've been in, that's great social proof to build trust with retailers that might not have heard of your brand before. And if you've never tried it before, why not try some video content? Now, I think most people sitting watching this video will think, no, not for me. But then just consider that actually most brand owners will say, no, they'd rather not do video content. So think how unique you would be and like how much your email would stand out if you do have some video content. This is how this channel actually started. I was doing videos and putting them on here, explaining to retailers why they should buy our socks from Faire, and then this channel kind of evolved into a Faire advice channel. If you're not comfortable going on camera, don't worry. It does take time. Like, I never used to really be confident speaking in front of the camera, but practice makes perfect. You just kind of get used to it. If you really don't want to speak to camera like this, you could try having someone sitting next to the camera, so you're speaking to them rather than to the camera. Or another way to do it is just film lots of B-roll, which is kind of behind the scenes content. Especially if you make the product or you do a lot of product at home, you could film yourself doing that and then record a voiceover, which is a much easier way of doing it than speaking directly to camera. If you ever do run out of ideas for what to put in your emails, try screenshotting or copying and pasting emails that you've got already into ChatGPT and just see what other ideas come up. It's a really good way to kind of bounce around ideas. I will also put a link below to our wholesale email guide. I've screenshotted about 6 months worth of our emails that we sent out out through Faire, so you can have a look at that, steal them. There's loads of really juicy content in there that will give you loads of ideas. And of course, we have loads of videos on this channel that deep dive into kind of B2B marketing and emails. So if you're stuck for ideas, subscribe to this channel and you'll get plenty of email ideas you can steal on here as well. If you do have any specific questions about cold emailing or any email marketing through Faire or Faire in general, stick them in the comments. I always get back to everyone. And subscribe to get more content to help you thrive on Faire. And I'll see you in the next video.